Good evening, heroes and heroines, and welcome to Practising Programming in C, where we are picking our music. Not exactly sure what kind of music Sloy is, actually. Definitely rock of some description. Do we have any... Sandy Denny in FLAC? We don't seem to. Is this in FLAC? No. How much have we got? 920. Let's plop some Raikuju in it anyway. It's a couple of hours keyed up. So, I promised that I didn't do any programming since the last stream, but what I have done is I just did this thing that prints out the assets block. So the task for today is to continue to debug the asset landmarks. Let me remove the stuff. Well, we've removed that. We removed that. Let me just run the program. It's going to add the dudes, and I'm going to see the landmarks. So let's go back to, this is the first asset. The first asset is Cinera.css. And you can see here that, in fact, let me just do a little quick thing in this print assets block function. Right, I think I'd like to do this. I think that would omit the, you see there's a line at the start? I think that would omit that. Yeah. So what we're seeing here is we're looking at the landmarks for the Cinera.css asset. This doesn't say the number of landmarks, but this this item here is the index number of the landmark. This is the project index for this landmark. This is the entry index for this landmark within this project. And this is the byte offset of this landmark from the start of this entry's file. Right. So you can see that there are 334, because it's zero indexed, 334 landmarks associated with this file. Now, one thing you can see straight off the bat that's a bit unusual and completely incorrect is that the entry indices are in reverse order mostly until you get down to a certain place. Right, so they're sort of in reverse down to here, and then they pop up to 183 and they kind of like continue to go down again. And you should also see that some of them occur, I think they all actually occur more than once. So there's I just saw 91 here. 91 is here. There's another one for 91 here. So 91, 296, 91, 296. So we've got basically a duplicate set of landmarks. And we need to investigate why that's happening. We basically want to be producing just the correct number of these and in the right order. So my suspicion is that we are incorrectly computing the range. Like our rangefinder is busted. The reason I say that is that the rangefinder is supposed to find the range of landmarks that are associated with a given project. So we're going to be looking through the landmarks and getting all of the landmarks that are associated with this project. I think it's probably finding the start of it, but then what it's doing is, rather than actually correctly computing the range, it's setting that range to be 0. So we're effectively going to be presented with a 0 length range. And then when you perform the binary search on that, or when you further try and limit that range down to individual entries, it's not going to find anything because 0 length. So it sort of thinks that it just has to insert a new one at that point. And that would explain the reverse order of these guys, because if you imagine that it sort of finds also, actually, I'll tell you what, this idea of like waves of them could be explained by the neighborhood, by the fixing up of the previous and next entries of the neighborhood. So that could be explained by that. What that basically is when you've got, for example, episode 256, so you process episode 256, and then you subsequently process episode 255, you need to you're creating 255, and you need to fix up 256 to point back to 255. And that fix up, in fact, now that I think about it, whichever way you do it, whenever you add a new guy and you adding the neighbours, if you can't find the neighbour, you're gonna be inserting a new one, I think, in this situation, because it's broken. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have like 3 times as many landmarks as we should do. We probably see. Let's just see what the first one is that we process. We processed 122. I think we processed it. I think 082 is the first one, actually. Oh, it's not null padded. So let's just try and get to the first one. Look at the 82. The 82 appears here. Unfortunately, we'll lose the dude. So there's 82. I'm not sure if that's the first one that we saw. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong one. I should be looking at, sorry, this is always going to be going up. I need to be looking at these guys. So we've got 82 here. There's 182. Interesting. I suppose, does 82 only get processed once? So here's an inserted 526 and inserted 254. So these insertions mean that we had another one that we appended to. So let's look for 528. I suspect we'll find multiple people for that. Oh, yeah, it's not actually, sorry, I beg your pardon. these don't correspond to the actual HTML files. These are the indices of the guy. So if if code 082 is the first one, that's going to have 0 as its index. We're getting there. Yeah, so I guess we can't really marry up these. We can't marry them up so easily, which is unfortunate. But yeah, I think the first thing we need to try and do, I can also demonstrate another thing that's busted. So you see how this penultimate asset, Cinera underscore hero.css, it currently has 333 is the current highest index for that landmark. If I run the program again, it was 333, wasn't it? We now see that that goes up to 66, it's doubled. So it's effectively failed to find all those previously inserted landmarks, which is further evidence of the rangefinder being busted. Let's remove that. Remove this. And let's go to CGDB. To run to this. I think for the first one, I'm pretty sure we do actually hit this, don't we? For a start. So we don't hit that. Isn't that a bit suspicious? What is that supposed to be trying to do? Is the current target dot first? That's going to be stopping us from getting in there, isn't it? For a start. Oops. How do I do this? Ideally, I want to be able to say, what is it, open? That's what I want to say. So I want to be able to jump to here. And we do get to this, at least, don't we? Yeah. So we've appended code 81 is actually the first one. And then appended code 82. So there is so we're trying to process 82. There's a prev. Yep, but that's going to be, right, that prev is going to be 81, isn't it? Yeah. So what we got here, current first. So apparently the first target. Okay, first landmark. Project is first. Yeah, so current target dot first. I think that's completely not right. Oh yeah, well, this could be garbage, couldn't it? Project range, because yeah, we should be setting that. We're sending that project range to this person here. The deletion target is performing this binary search method landmark. It's also bearing in mind the binary search method landmark itself does call the new range finding functions. I think determine project landmarks range doesn't, though. Now think about it. I think that does its own thing. It's not delete landmarks, is it? It should be in add landmarks, yeah. So yeah, let's continue on through. So we're probably going to process code 82 incorrectly and go on to append somebody else, or not. So add landmarks has received the n. Let's print out the n. This index is 1. There's no next index. The previous index is 0. Even this is set, next isn't, which corresponds with exactly the specification of that. So the current project 43 is AFC. Okay, fine. So that's code 82. Sorry, code 81. It's code 82. We could use our new get first landmark function here. Or locate first landmark, rather. If project indices differ, now correct me if I'm wrong, but these don't differ. Do they? I mean, generation 1 and index 1, index 0. Right? I mean, this project, let's try and get into this function. We can just keep on running, actually, and just do the next person. Yeah, I mean, there won't be any harm in just running straight back to that. just continue. Let's get ourselves back through to that other place. So it should be, yeah, we're now here. So if we step into project entities differ, so what have we been delivered here? 1 and 0. So this should be returning 0, shouldn't it? A.generation. Let's just see where it takes us. So if it... Now... Oh, shit. That's a typo right there. Wow. Yeah, compare the index against the generation, ain't gonna fly, is it? So that was a complete bug. Let's try that again. Actually, let's just delete these guys. I suppose I could have done with stepping into that, actually, couldn't I? Although at this point, we have, well, we've appended that. So this length should be greater than what? Greater than 0, shouldn't it? Yeah, so I think that's... Just hold on. I will step into this function. This one here. I don't know why we didn't hit that. What asset are we talking about here exactly? We're talking about Cinera.css. Apparently there's no... We've appended this. Appended those. Let's just have a look at the... Oh, there's no neighborhood. I wonder if the appending of this is happening before we're adding the landmarks. In which case, it's correct that there's no landmarks, essentially. I feel like we want to say if project indices don't differ, just increment the length, else break. Well, that's by the by. So what does the asset look like at this point? There should be one new landmark. The existing landmark, there is no existing landmarks. Okay, so then for all of these landmarks, that player landmark count should be 1, shouldn't it? Because we just set that for this guy. So we're basically going to write this landmark. So, yeah, it is, isn't it? So this all looks okay. Setting this landmark looks fine to me. We could null initialize this, but I mean we set all the values, so I think we should be fine. On the UF write that landmark. There's no remaining. What's that supposed to be doing? Oh, it's the same loop. There's no existing landmarks, so there's nothing to process. Then we're saying that we have offset this asset's landmarks. Okay, so then we're going to the next asset. Run Cinera topics. Got those 0 landmarks. I think this project range should also be 0, shouldn't it? Because it's the first person. I think I'd like to go through all the assets. So there we have appended code. Okay, so we're now looking at. Do we have the neighborhood? I think we might do. Yeah. So we've appended 82, which is going to be this. Prev is going to be 81. There's no next. So now let's step into this person. Okay. I suppose actually I want to look at the asset landmark count. So there's one landmark count of this. Is this the right test, actually? I'm supposed to be iterating through all the landmarks. Shouldn't this test be if it's not supposed to be? Like if the current one is not supposed to come after this? Right? Shouldn't we be able to reasonably assume that in that case, then we're correct, because otherwise, basically we're going to be going through this thing here, and we're going to increment past the actual start, because the start of this project range should be right at the beginning, right? So presumably result first is 1, isn't it? If they differ. Just the current project index is high. If the one that we're looking at that's in the database. Sorry. If the one that if our desired project index should come before this, then this happens. But like I say, if that isn't the case, like if this is equal to it, we're going to get past it, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? Because we're looking for I, right? We're looking for Gen 1, index 0, and we found in one of these landmarks, the first landmark was Gen 1, index 0. So we should have identified the first landmark as the first one in our range, but we didn't actually find that, right? We didn't set this to be that. So I think I want to fix that. What's it? Determine thingamajig, isn't it? I think this test should be right. If the desired one shouldn't come after this, then we can reasonably set this to be that. Also, you don't actually need to do this in the slightest. All you can do is you can just say this, and you basically do that, right? Result.first. Yeah, and then if you've got result.first to here, if I use result.first, right, you should be able to continue with the same landmark, right? Yeah, and I mean, like I was saying, yeah, if they differ, then you break. I mean, right? That should work, shouldn't it? And you don't need I, do you? Because all you wanted to do is talk about the landmark. It's like You see that, can't you? What am I missing here? I don't think that we could go out of bounds here either, because we've got the A landmark counts coming in. So even if there's no landmarks and we dereference, well, not dereference, but we set this landmark pointer up, that is actually not a landmark at all. You know, it's after the asset header. This is going to prevent us from descending, isn't it? Also, now that I think about it, right, that's just it, isn't it? So let's relaunch and jump into determine project landmarks range. Whoa. Determine project landmarks range is where I want to be jumping into. Did it actually load it? Yeah. Right, here we go. This is probably going to be garbage. Yeah, perfect. But the landmark count is legit. In fact, this is going to be over the end of the file, maybe, possibly. So we're not going to get in there or into there. So the result is just 0, 0. Right, which is perfectly fine. And then we're going to be passing the project range to binary search from edit landmark, which is going to produce, well, I'm not going to get there, because the project range was just length 0. One landmark. No latest thing. Then we're going to do our dude, which is as we want to do it. Right, and then we've got the next asset. So I think we should just keep on going through until, let's remove these things. Actually, let's make it that one that we go to. So we want to go through all of the assets. There's 8 of them, isn't there? In fact, we're just going through until we see the appended. Yeah, let's see this guy. So we're now looking at asset. Then an asset already has a landmark count of 1. Whatever the asset is, Cinera.css. So the first landmark should be a legit landmark, and it totally is. It's a generation 1, index 0, entry index 0. So the third is less than the thingy. Now we should pass this test, because the desired index is not greater. The desired index should not come after the stored landmark. Okay, so now first plus length is less than the landmark count, so we should get into this. If they differ, if the project indices differ, then we break. So for the first one, they shouldn't differ. And in fact, we should never actually test this, because this test here should prevent us from getting into that situation. So we're incrementing the landmark. It's currently still legit. We're incrementing the result.length. Right, perfect. So we would have incremented the result.length. This is going to be 1, isn't it? Oh shit. Don't want to be messing with that. Wow, I didn't realise you could do that actually. That's pretty swanky. So yeah, we figured out if it didn't do that plus plus, the result length was 1, which is correct. So adding a new asset landmark. So this asset has 1 landmark for this new guy, and as we just saw, the asset landmark count is currently 1. So incrementing that by this dude. Project range length. Let's step into this. Now what we're trying to do is find a range of indices of landmarks that correspond to entry index 1 of project. Well, it's it's within this project range of all of the dudes within this project range. Yeah, we're basically constraining the range down to all of the entries that correspond to this entry index. Could use the locate first thing here, by the way. What was entry index? It's 1. And the entry index of the lower landmark should be 0, shouldn't it? Because there's only one. There's only one dude. Yeah. So we're basically saying, what this is saying is that we should be appending. Well, I mean, we'll get there, won't we? But really, I think this range should end up, when we return from this thing, we should find that the landmark range for this is probably going to be 1, 0. So if you look at this is 0, 1. We should be finding that the range for this person is at the end of it's at the end of this range, and it's 0 length because there are no entries for it. Does that make sense? Apology if it doesn't. Now that is I don't think that's what I would expect. If the upper is greater than 0, greater than or equal to 0, why isn't the upper greater than or equal to 0 exactly? Lower plus the project range length, take away 1. Shouldn't that be... That probably should just be the length, shouldn't it? Oh no, because it's testing the upper, isn't it? So if there's only one entry, there's nothing to test against, I guess. But it's possible that this is incorrect. Keep that in mind. Result length 0 is correct because we wouldn't have found this entry index in the range. So yeah, let's just continue. So what was that determining? That was determining this target. Yeah, so this has got 0, 0. So I'm inclined to say that this has got it wrong. This is being passed the wrong stuff. Basically, what this project should be saying, this thing should be saying, output all of the previous landmarks up to the this target, shouldn't it? So this target is the penultimate thing. It's the current target. Yeah, and you can see here. So this is why this test is failing, because we've set the upper incorrectly. Right? We don't know what the index range of the previous episode is. We have got a prev. Yeah, that's just a complete bug. We haven't set form a target to anything, have we? That's still 0. So we're not going to be writing out anything. So let's fix that straight up. It's in binary search, isn't it? It was this upper. Now I appreciate that we only want to be testing on the one thing. So we can't have a situation where we're trying to we're trying to do one of these tests down here. We can't have a situation where we're trying to do this sort of a test on a landmark that doesn't exist. Right. So if the entire project range is 1, we do need to bounds the upper within that range. So I think this is correct. If the entry index is less than the lower landmark entry index, the first is lower length. If upper is greater than or equal to 0, what's that saying? Shouldn't that be up? What am I trying to say here? The upper landmark, yeah. So the thing about this, upper, think about setting these guys here. The project range is a range within all of the landmarks, so it could be non-zero, basically. I think we want to be saying here, if the upper is greater than or equal to the lower, if anything. In fact, we probably don't even want to see this test at all, do we? Because that's always going to pass. I think that's garbage, frankly. Sorry, but I don't think that's necessary. If the entry index is greater than that of the upper landmark entry index, it's probably just upper plus 1, isn't it? Right, so it's going to get us past the uppermost one. I think that would be more correct. If the entry index is greater than the entry index of the uppermost landmark, yeah, that does seem more right to me. So we've still got our breakpoints in there. Get index range. Yeah, sure. So, determine project landmarks. Right, I think we figured out that this is now okay. Yeah, I think there's nothing else for it but to just continue until you've appended the dude. Right, and now we can continue through. We should break here. We should go in, but we should find that still matches. So we increment the result.length. Zero one, yeah. Oh yeah, that could do the locate first project, first asset landmark. So that means the insertion point would be at the lower mark, and it's the length of 0. This means that the insertion point is going to be immediately after the uppermost one with length 0. 1 0, yeah. I think that's more right. So then you write your asset, landmark count 2, and then you need to process those previous landmarks. This time we've got a project range of 1 0, yeah, and a current target 2 1 of also 1 0, isn't it? That's wrong, isn't it? This target. Why are they like that? Shouldn't the project range be 0 1 and this target be 1 0? Shouldn't that be what's happening? Because we weren't reinserting, so we don't decrement this target. Project range this target. Former target is get index range. But we're not even looking at that, are we? I wonder if that buffer pointer is being used at all. Yeah, it kind of is. Okay. Let's continue to step through. I'm suspicious of that. I mean, this isn't a case of it just not being initialized at this point, is it? Yeah. So the project range should be larger than the current range. So these guys definitely look backwards. Oh, that's not right, is it? Generation 0, index 0. We don't have anybody like that. So how did that get written out, I wonder? That's going to write out garbage, isn't it? I mean, the asset looks okay. This asset here looks fine. It's a file. Landmark kind of 2. What have we done at this point? We've just called this. We've written out the asset. This is locating the asset in the existing database, which should be fine, shouldn't it? Let's continue anyway, see what happens. Pretty sure this ain't right, but if the current target first is greater than the project range, which it isn't, is it? So now it is it? Ah. So that's now correct. So what's going on before? Are they just not being populated? Like I'm not imagine that, are I? Right? Previously the P range, project range was 1, 0. And the current target was 0, 1. Right? Current target 0, 1, 1, 0. So let's look at just the project range. P project range. When we're sitting on... Oh, we don't know what line we're sitting on. But that, yeah, that was 1, 0 for the project range. And now the project range is 0, 1, which is correct. How about that first landmark actually? Is that now? That's now initialized. So what's going on there? It just seems like it just didn't update the stuff. Had I not stepped over that line or something? At least this is now correct, right? 1, 0 is a valid first landmark. Well, I mean 0, 0 would have been as well, but this is now a correct one according to what we've actually input to the thing. So what's former target? Former target should be 0, 1, shouldn't it? Because we should be outputting the previous dude, and there's only one entry for that dude, and it's at the start of the thing. So yeah, again, we still don't really know if that is even telling us the truth, do we? Yeah, we've lost it. Do I just need... did I make a change that it just didn't know how to deal with? Sorry, make a change that it didn't refresh. So here we're back out here with form target. Yeah, so 0, 1. Yeah, that's what I was saying, wasn't it? I think I need to relaunch GDB. So yeah, we're writing out to the first. So that means write out all of the landmarks from the first landmark up to the first landmark of our previous person. Yeah. And then having done that, we need to do this offsetting if it needs to be offset. Yeah, so that seems right to me. The running index should be 0, shouldn't it? Form target.first was 0. Oh shit. What is running index? That is 0. Is it just another case that it's fucked? It just hasn't set the dude for us. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely stepped over this line before when I tried to do this. Yeah, I can't step to this because it's just not looking at the right stuff at all. What was the other thing? Was it in binary search that I wanted to do that tiny little change? I wanted to just use the get the locate first asset function. Was it in here maybe? Well, that's already there. I suppose the interesting thing is just the pointer get used in here. No. Is this a real function? Verify landmarks. Yeah, it's busted. That's not right. It's old news. Failure. Is this the same function? Yeah. I mean, I suppose verify landmarks is exactly what we're trying to do, isn't it? To be honest. So it might be worth actually making this function work. Yeah. Right, so we just need to go through until we've appended the next person. Perfect. Looks okay. Don't know if we offset that previous thing. So the existing one was not greater than or equal to that. Presume that's right. So this is processing our actual dude. Generation 1, index 0, into index 1, yeah. That looks fine to me. So write it. If this is lower count is greater than... I mean, we're going to get into this, but we shouldn't do anything because there are no next landmarks. Yeah, it does nothing. So that pass seemed great to me. So I reckon we've correctly appended one. Let's continue through to the full search page. This person here. Looks good to me. This isn't guaranteed to be in the right place, is it? Yeah, we probably want to do this a bit more systematically, don't we? using like locate first asset and locate first landmark of asset, rather than be operating cheesily on this pointer. I won't be surprised if this is not right. So this outer loop is going over the ones in the database, and then this is going over the ones in memory. I'd like to step into this, I think. Yeah, so that looks right. So we've been past that range of 0 to 332, or 0 of 332 length. And we're now trying to constrain this range down to, it's actually going to be 0, 0, because the entry index should come before the entire thing. Right, entry index -1 should come before everyone. We should pass this. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what should be happening. So the target is now 0, 0, isn't it? We incremented the landmark count, yeah. So there's one landmark for this asset. There's one landmark for CSS, Cinera.css for the search page. That's good enough to me. So yeah, it's going to write out all. It would write out all of them if there was multiple, and then it increments past those. And writes out the rest of the 332. I mean, that seems good enough to me. So we've written out 1, and we're writing out 332, which should be the remainder of them. Assuming I got this after we'd incremented the thing. And then they're on to doing the next dude. Are we breaking out the right thing there? So that, yeah, that does seem fine. Yeah, where do I want to go to? I guess just continue until we print the landmarks and just see if they look right. So yeah, you can see that they're all actually the right. Well, here we go. So we've got 182, 183. But this is not right. Is it? Yeah, so we're not right. It's more right because we've actually got 0, -1 there, and 0. There's 2 and 3, but where's 1? It's possible that 1 doesn't actually contain this file, by the way. Or is it? Oh no, everyone should contain Cinera __ hero.css. So I think we're a little bit more correct, but not fully correct. 166 is being popped down there. This is probably going to be send owl because there's 2 per thing. Yeah. Are we seeing 2 of 26? Yeah, we are. Say 26 because that was just one I spotted. There's 26 here, and there's 26 up here. 3778. Ah, there's a different value here. Okay, so yeah, incorrectly printing out some stuff. So what if it'd be worthwhile making that verify landmarks function actually do some stuff? Right. We could make that trigger. We could make that do its thing. Basically, it just go through all the landmarks, making sure that each successive one is either greater than or equal to the previous one in terms of its thing and its thing. And that's it, right? And then if we find that one of them fails, we should be in a position to see why. Well, at least we should be in a position to see where, like, what's being processed at that time. So let's do that. Let's make verify landmarks actually do something. What else is this doing? Research page into buffer. Ah, I see. So it's doing a little bit more stuff. It's making sure that the checksums actually match. Yeah, I guess we could do that too. I like how our first asset is this. The height of cheese. So let's probably do it completely differently. Basically, all I want to say is all I'm checking for is that the following landmark should be greater than or equal to the previous one. Yeah, do we know if there's a next actually? Really, we don't have that. Oh, it's locate, isn't it? Oops. Um, what is it? If the project entities differ, so if the next one is greater than 0, so basically if the next should come after this, beg your pardon, if the next should come before this, Uh, or the next entry should come before. Now, is that reliable? I think we need the test, don't we? Well, probably want this to be main mode actually. And then just die. Right. Now, that what I was talking about here was like, if the next purchase should come before the stored one, or basically what could happen here, I think where this could fall down is if the next person's product index should be greater than that's correct, then that shouldn't be it shouldn't be an or. So it's basically there we go. Right, that's going to be success, which means that this is going to be failure. Right. You prefer overflow? Really? Didn't expect to exactly die here. Well, this is not after this. Should this be an and? Yeah, should be, shouldn't it? If the next should come at either after or this and this, then it's valid. Otherwise, we fail. Rightio. So, what did that fail on? Well, I mean, we exited, didn't we? Right, we failed sadly. If we hit this, print neighborhoods, which we do successfully do, and then we exit one, but then we get a bunch of read memory access out at, oh, it's in print neighborhood. Yeah, I suppose we haven't looked at this actually for a while. So what's it dying on? 7301. That died where exactly? 7314. So it died in here. I mean, I might have deleted a line that it actually was talking about. Well, I don't think I did I? 7314, so it's saying... Apparently this isn't set then, is that what they're saying? Oh. It's because we're processing the search page, isn't it? So yeah, we probably actually need to verify the landmarks more often. Because I think that's what's happening here. Previous set to 528. Well, I would have thought that this would be 529 in this situation. In which case that would have been set and this would have been set. Pre-deletion. So yeah, it's interesting to me that this isn't set, but prev is. Let's make this get called a bit more often. This should suffice, I reckon. Should insert the entry. We could also, well, we do verify down here too. So this time, I think we should end up seeing a neighborhood with this, because it's just unusual not to have this set. Okay, cool. So we're failing on when maybe it's before this has been added to the database, maybe? Let's print out working this, because we've got that as well. Really? So what have we got here? Event prev. So we're talking about the prev. This is Israel base founders. So they're talking about all the same garbage. Alright, why don't we just say print these guys? No, because we've got pre-deletion stuff, haven't we? So it's only really, we need to model it after these guys. And special case, this. Oh yeah, of course it doesn't. Because that's separate, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, I guess we could also sort of say short int. What the hell is that? Isn't that just a uint? An int. 16. 2. I don't think we store the neighbourhood, so we can just sort of say you in. Actually, we need to be signed. Right, and then we could also pass the predeletion to this index. A pointer to it. Do we care about that? No, fuck that. Let's just oops. Let's just make this guy talk about that. Now what is that exactly? Base file name. Delection. I don't even know if that's always going to be set, to be honest. Now, has that helped at all? Why did we care about... Oh, it's to get the working index printed, wasn't it? So I think because it's still wrong, I think we want to actually remove the stuff. I don't think we can rely on being able to actually produce something that is able to iterate over the thing multiple times. So yeah, working this is all we want to get out of that. Apparently it's index 2. Is that true? Yeah, it could be true actually, because 083 is going to be this. So it's going to be 0, 1, 2. So the previous is, yep, that totally tallies up. Okay. So we fail with the landmarks on when we're inserting 083. So append, perfect. Right, insert entry. I guess it's just here, isn't it? Like if the neighborhood working thingamajig. Base file name. Oh, we do need to actually wrap this up, don't we? Code 83. Okay. No idea if those are in the right place. So it's talking about wrap 0. That's talking about that. This is talking about that and then that. I guess that's right. Clearly not. Working this, so what does it contain? HTML base file name. Too many arguments for function, okay. Right. There we go. So we've already failed. Where does that test happen? Code 003. Sorry, code 083 is this thing, isn't it? This should match, shouldn't it? And also, I do actually want to be stopping earlier. I do want to be stopping when I'm in here, so it's actually I can step through it. Oh, it won't be set. Yeah, that's unfortunate. So actually, let's go into insert into DB, because we need to actually get that working this set. And that only happens after doing the HTML to buffers. Wherever that is. Here. So I think this time we should actually be able to encounter this check. In fact, let me just reload, because we were having all sorts of fun and games earlier with GDB, showing us on all sorts of unexpected stuff. So we still failed. Did I did put the breakpoint in, sorry. Code 82. This is snipe checks into HTML. Is that why I put that? Oh, there's too many break heres. Right. Jesus. What's that doing there exactly? Snipe checks into HTML. Right. Fine. I don't know why that's there, but we need to, let's just do what to do. So do we get to this one at least? We don't. Okay. Let's just try and appended 083. Right, that printout should be happening down here. Right, that's happening here. We should know before we get here that we're talking about this, shouldn't we? HMML base file name. And also we should actually know that before we get into HTML to buffer, shouldn't we? Shouldn't we? Oh! Right. Yeah, it only happens here. So strictly speaking, we could have just tested it on the base file name. What's that coming in as? So that's a string. Right. So yeah, we could just say this. And this would be right, because it doesn't need to get set to anything else. And we can just do it right up here. Try this all again. Right, got it. Let's have a look at the neighborhood. Yeah, of course, because we just reset the neighborhood, and we are now. We need to reacquire it basically. So we reckon they were pending. Get neighborhood should be happening. So we should have got the neighborhood. We've got a prev. There's no this yet, because this is the new entry. And the working this is code 82. So that hasn't been cleared yet, has it? Working this is apparently that. Let's continue. now that we've clear copied that, this HTML based file name should be code 083. And the title probably will get set here. But it's a bit disconcerting that it's set, that the work in this is set to this. Not strictly right, but maybe we can get away with it. HTML to buffers would have set the link offsets, wouldn't it? And the size, probably. Yeah, so that actually fixed up the size and the linked offsets. It was just that this stuff was stale. But we fixed that up in these calls, so maybe that's fine. See if the neighbourhood is still located correctly. I'd have cycled that file. We've got project. We've got this now set. Code 83. So that's the thing that we just wrote into the file. And that's previous too. So that looks fine. Here comes the printout. Now, link neighbours probably will end up calling add landmarks, maybe, will it? Got a minute. Update landmarks for neighbourhoods. Yeah, where are we? Yeah, how do you go back to the current position? Because I do want to do that. Oops. I just want to navigate to it. Or scroll. Did I just see a 5? Oh, there we go. 7514. But it's still not quite right because that's not the line I'm on, is it? Well, it kind of is. Or is it? No, it isn't. There we are. So I want to be able to scroll to this line here. but yeah, couldn't find out to do that. So yeah, link neighbours. So the whole question there was, where's that landmark's going to be? And I think it will be within this function here. Because it's like add landmarks for neighbourhood, wasn't it? I suppose now that I think about it, that didn't seem to be doing what I was doing, by the way. Yeah, maybe I just need to keep stepping through until we get to a function that's going to have something to do. Oh no. With the landmarks. Update landmarks for neighbourhood. Here we go. Now again, I'm not sure where we are actually. Now I've stepped past the generate page landmark link. Try and step through to there. Perfect. So it's the play page which we were talking about. Let's just continue down to update landmarks for neighbourhood and step in. There we go. There's our landmarks call. Which I guess technically we could have just stepped right through. That's right. We've got an asset, so look at this asset. So the Cinera.cs has 2 landmarks. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. So let's see if this is right first of all. It should be 2, shouldn't it? Because there are 2 landmarks. All 2 of them should be for this project. This should pass. We should be incrementing that result length twice. Yeah, perfect. So that's right. Now we want to binary search metadata landmarks. So we're looking for entry index of 2. We've got 0 and 1 in the thing. So we should be getting into here. Should we not? It's called 0 and 2. Let's take a look at that upper landmark. Entry index 1. Yeah, that's bang on. Because the lower one is going to be entry index 0. So we don't pass that. But we should pass this, shouldn't we? Right, so that seems perfect. All this is as I would expect it to be. So we're now writing out the assets, having incremented the landmark count by probably 1. Then we need to process the pre-landmarks. So let's see what's going on here. That's right, entry next is 0. And there is a preep, isn't there? Yeah. So the former target, if the current target's first is greater than the project range dot first. No. The current target is 2, 0, isn't it? And the project range should be 0, 2. Yeah. So we should be passing this. The former target, we need to find out the former target should be 1 entry. We should then, yeah, and then we do write out the, yeah, so we do this, right? So we're writing out all the landmarks up to the first one of the former target, which is bang on. And then for the length of this former target, we perform this stuff here. I mean, which kind of looks right to me, I think. So we've written out nothing so far. I think we've written out the asset actually. Written out the asset, but we haven't written out any stuff. So this is the first bit of. These are the first landmarks that we're writing out. I think this should be 1, 1, shouldn't it? Get index range. So I think that's produced an unexpected thing. Unfortunately. Process pre-landmarks is the thing. Actually, can we just run? I think we can, can't we? Because we didn't change any code. Mind you, we're going to hit this too early, aren't we? Really, we want to encounter this one first. So now, process brief landmarks. The result is equal to the nothing. It should actually start by equaling the project range, shouldn't it? Right. Where's the result? I guess, yeah, the result gets set to a landmark index. Let's just see what it's doing. That's going to locate a landmark. So what we're looking for, landmark index of 1. So this should be 0, 8, 2. Shouldn't it? I mean, it's the first entry. It's the entry index 1. Don't know if that was any new information. So we think that we're passing, do we? Well, the landmark index is greater than that, and those match, and the entry index is equal to that. Then we want to decrement. I think we're doing this wrong, aren't we? Because this is going to put us prior to the actual one we want, isn't it? So let's redo this get index range function, and instead let's start with the result equaling the entire landmark in the entire project range. You know, just like the other person was doing, and then continually just shrink the range as we're going. I think that'd be a better way of doing this. I know that we've called this a few times. We've apparently got through stuff setting it correctly. Maybe it's luck though that happened. Let's start with the result being that, and we want to be saying I mean, it's basically like while they match, back them up, and then if they don't match anymore, increment. Isn't it? Actually, I suppose locate the landmark, yeah. Now what is that doing? Locate landmark is talking about a specific one. So I suppose it's like while the landmark index is greater than the project range, isn't it? project range first. And it's looking like the same. I think it's down there. Bizarrely, it might just be the same, exactly the same thing, actually. In fact, should we just say that it is the same thing? The only difference between that we're actually trying to... We start off with a result like this. In the project range. So wondering if you're better off actually doing this. Right, then you locate that. And then every time you decrement the landmark index, I mean, you don't even need to use this actually. Well, although you could. Right, you just do that. Does that sound reasonable? And then you don't need to do this. You do need to get the length. Subsequently though. And what is landmark in range exactly? So that's just the data that we're talking about. And the landmark is the test. I see. Oops. Well, that's greater than the first, so it could be greater than the first. And practicing disease match. I mean, we don't actually need to do this because we're talking about the project range, but I guess we can just let it happen. And the landmark in range is equal to the entry index. So while it's equal, we decrement. And then, yeah, I think it's just like I think we just need to test this, don't we? Because if the first, because we can't get through these. It ends up in a place where we're not actually still on the project range, I don't think. But we can get through this and end up on a landmark that isn't corresponding to the entry index. So I think we just need to say right. And then we get an index range of this. Got the thing, got the project range. Get the index range length. Now, result is 0. this should be taking the result dot first. Right. So that it can increment through. And then does this need to fix up? Let's try it. Well, it's a length actually, isn't it? So I think that maybe because it's a length, we're okay. It's just when we're talking about indices that you need to fix these dudes up. So yeah, I'm gonna say that's okay. Could be mistaken by var. Well, yeah. So we've done that. CGDB. Break here. Go to the next one. And then process prev landmarks. Right. And the problem was, it was setting this form a target, wasn't it? So that should be, what is the project range? Well, yeah, I mean, we set it to the landmark index, haven't we? So we're trying to get the range of the landmark index. So I postulate that, well, we are going to pass this whole thing, aren't we? Actually, we're going to pass it, but then we're going to find that we don't actually. Well, we've decremented a landmark. So, hang on a minute, couldn't this actually... Oh no, we determined it. We can't fail it. We can't get through this and get to an invalid landmark, I think. Yeah, perfect. So that's what I want to have happen. Because it would have decremented this landmark to the guy before the person that we actually want. And then it would fix up the offset. And this length should be 1, shouldn't it? Yeah. It's possible you don't need most of those values in there. Probably do need the landmark, but the landmark index. The result could just be set to the... Oh no, the result is 0, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's another way of doing that, but who knows? So now that we've got that set, what do we have? We've got first of 1, 1. So now we should actually be in a better position because we're writing out the preceding landmarks up to the first person. Right, I'm going to write out one landmark up to the first. Increment running index. And then our previous person does have some landmarks, so we need to actually see if we need to operate on those. Apparently we didn't, which is fine. So I think we've successfully processed our previous landmarks. Apparently, did we go into that area? I think we did, didn't we? Yeah. Present next. No, so this should do nothing, doesn't it? Because there is not a next. Yeah. Perfect. So there we have it. Perfect. And we now verify. So I think let's call it there, and I'm done with it. I mean, I guess actually we could rerun the program, couldn't we? Just see if we can actually run it again without failing to verify. Yeah, so we're now doing it correctly, and we're able to actually locate the indices, look at the landmarks in the assets block, and not produce duplicates of them. I suppose one thing we could actually test is what happens when you actually need to snipe. Because that was broken. What have we got? Let's pick a Sandy Denny song. Optimist. What was that one? Black Sea Water. Blackwater Side. Let's go for Optimist. Let's be optimistic and see, and just claim that it'll be right. So it's verified. So it's updated checksum that of that in HTML file data checksum updating. I think that's probably a break. Yeah, break here was probably screwing us over there. So that would have actually deleted this line if not for that 3. So that looks correct. $417. Yeah. And yeah, that looks fine too. So I think we've nailed it. It was all a problem of incorrectly searching for the landmarks. It just couldn't find the landmarks correctly. So it's duplicating them, and it just couldn't put them in the right order or anything. So yeah, let's just finish off by removing that break here, and then we can all go home. And I guess we just did see that the snipe checksums worked, didn't we? But we can leave it in because we've got to do. We know that we can always navigate to that to do, no problem. Would we ever hit that? I don't think. Actually, what you could do is you can just do that, can't you? Now that I think about it, you don't need to do anything like that. All you need in this, the only point of this break here thing is to give you a thing to actually search for in CGDB. So you don't need any of that garbage. You can just do a comment that says break here, can't you? And it just work for you. But yeah, anyway. We could let the verified printouts happen. I just want to ensure that actual update line doesn't get screwed up. So ravens sounds like a good enough topic to me. Updated checksum of that. Yeah, perfect. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't end up with that line not getting cleared correctly. But yeah, that's it. We can tick off something. That's it. Yeah, triggered hash. fix locate project, we need to do that. The project loop is the next thing to do, yeah. Yeah, so that's it. So thank you very much, heroes and heroines, for being here, for being beautiful and fantastic, and most of all, for being verified. Until next time, farewell for now.